Well, the big preview of 49ers Rams continues. Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense against this Rams defense. This is, just based on what we saw in week one between these two teams, this is a nice matchup. Brock Purdy was the most efficient quarterback in the league outside of garbage time in week one, and we know that garbage time lasted for quite a bit in 49ers Steelers. And the Rams defense allowed only 12 total yards of offense to the Seattle Seahawks in halftime in week one, after halftime in week one. So two strong units colliding at SoFi Stadium. And the Rams defense looks different from a personnel standpoint than it has in years prior. Salary cap hell made the Rams lose some of the veterans that helped lead them to a Super Bowl title just 2 seasons ago. No more Leonard Floyd on the Rams. No more Bobby Wagner on the Rams. Jalen Ramsey traded away on the back end. So this Rams team, they still have 99. They still have Aaron Donald. And obviously, they can still get some stuff done. Now, there's a caveat. Seattle's offense lost both of its starting tackles in the season opener up in the Pacific Northwest. And there was a whole lot of pressure generated by the Rams. 20 total quarterback pressures. Geno Smith had that rough second half, but still 12 total yards. It's more than just pressure. That's good play on the back end. Seemed like solid play from the linebackers as well. I just don't think that in general, the Rams will be able to do what they did to the Seahawks on both sides of the ball, offense or defense, to the 49ers, because the 49ers are much better equipped than Seattle. One of the more premature narratives of the offseason was, Seattle, the best team in the NFC West. What did Seattle do over the offseason that suddenly made them better than the 49ers, who were in a league of their own in the NFC West last year? The Seahawks weren't anywhere close to the 49ers last season. Some people thought that just because the Seahawks had a couple first-round rookies join the team, they suddenly would vault above a team like the 49ers that was much better than them. Well, that all came crashing down to earth in week one when the Rams took it to the Seahawks. And not just took it to the Seahawks. Again, Seattle only had 12 yards of total offense against the Rams in the second half. So let's preview this. Why don't we get this sucker up on the screen too? This is what I wrote today. The 49ers need Colton McKivitz and Spencer Burford to be sharp against the Rams' Aaron Donald. $1 a month for the Athletic. The link is in the description. I talked to both Burford and McKivitz in the 49ers locker room today. One thing that really struck me is these two guys, even after the win, they were peeved that they did not play well. The 49ers gave up 9 pressures between both of them on the right side. If there was a weakness for the 49ers, and there was, but the one weakness that we could really point to was on the right side of the offensive line. Burford had 3 penalties. He had the face mask on the play that you see up on the screen right here. His hand is in Larry Ogunjobi's face mask. You also see Colton McKivitz beaten clean by TJ Watt. Actually, sorry, this is a different play. Brock Purdy's actually getting the throwaway here. The face mask play was the strip sack. So there was a whole lot of pressure from TJ Watt after beating Colton McKivitz. 5 pressures given up by McKivitz, 4 pressures given up by Spencer Burford, who I believe is working against Ogunjobi again there. But on the strip sack play, he grabbed Larry Ogunjobi's face mask, and he couldn't get his finger out. And he just decided, okay, I don't want to break my finger. I'm just going to keep my hand up there. And, well, it led to the flag on the play. So the 49ers need better play from the right side of their offensive line. Trent Williams is the best in the business at left tackle. I just spent the whole video talking about how good Aaron Banks looked, clean sheet at left guard, sprinting out with Christian McCaffrey on the 65-yard touchdown. And Jake Brendel's a solid center. But it's the right side of that offensive line that the 49ers really didn't run behind. They ran left. And it's that side of the offensive line that gave up all the pressure. So what opposing teams do, especially if they have star players on their defensive line, is they seek out weaknesses. And Aaron Donald's going to line up anywhere. In 2019, the 49ers were starting 2 backup tackles because Joe Staley and Mike McGlinchey were both hurt week 6 at the LA Coliseum. So it was Daniel Brunskill and it was Justin Skule. Aaron Donald, on the very first possession of the game, lined up at edge rusher. He's a defensive tackle. He said, screw it. I'm lining up at edge rusher against Justin Skule. And he just rushed right past him. Speed move right past Justin School. Sack of Jimmy Garoppolo, drive ended. So you better believe that Aaron Donald, who lined up last year against Colton McKivitz, who was at left tackle in week 4, you better believe that more of the same is going to be coming from Aaron Donald. He won't just keep himself constrained to the interior. He's going to test out. He sniffs the weakness from Colton McKivitz. He's going to test it out at right tackle. He sniffs the weakness from Spencer Burford. That's his natural position, 3 technique against the right guard. He's going to try to go after that. So Aaron Donald is a Swiss Army knife, and that versatility is going to give the 49ers some headaches. Now, in general, they've handled that versatility well when they played the Rams. Spencer Burford, his great quote in this article was, "We grow too." Aaron Donald will take your weaknesses, use them against you. He'll put you into position to fail, but you can also put Aaron Donald in position to fail. It's a lot harder to do because it's Aaron Donald, but the 49ers have won 8 of 9 against the Rams in large part because of how well they have neutralized Aaron Donald in those wins. So this is going to come down to the entire line, Brock Purdy, the skill position players playing a cohesive, balanced game that either runs at Aaron Donald or runs away from him, but decides which of those two to execute at the right times. Donald is explosive. He is insanely athletic for an interior rusher. Sometimes the answer to great athleticism, though, because he's not a big fire hydrant type on the interior, sometimes the answer is to run right at him. And the 49ers have done that effectively over the years. You just have to know when to run at Aaron Donald and when not to run at Aaron Donald. And you have to run successfully so that you're not putting yourself into bad down and distance situations because those turn into sacks. That's when the Los Angeles Rams, no matter who they have, if it's Von Miller, if it's Leonard Floyd, whoever they have at the edge, that's when they can pin their ears back and give you big trouble, as happened in an NFC Championship game a couple years ago. I do have to say the Rams have a new rookie edge rusher, Byron Young, out of Tennessee. 3rd-round draft pick. 4.4 speed. It shows up on tape. Young was getting after Geno Smith last week. He had 5 pressures in that game. 240 pounds. He's your typical speed rusher in that 3-4 coming off the edge. 49ers going to have to find a way to block Byron Young. So it's not just Colton McKivitz working against Aaron Donald. You're going to have to work against the speed of Byron Young on the side. And then, you're going to see a familiar face with the Rams on the back end. Akello Witherspoon. He wears the number 44 now. Got into it with DK Metcalf last week. Metcalf gave him that dirty shove from behind, right? Akello wasn't even looking, shoved him to the ground. But Akello wearing 44, former 49ers cornerback, now playing with the Rams. 3rd-round draft pick of the 49ers back in 2017. Was with the Seahawks for a while, then was with the Steelers, right? Not with the Steelers anymore. He is on the West Coast with the Rams. So to me, the Rams are new look, yet familiar at the important spot. And the important spot is right here, Aaron Donald, who's going to line up anywhere. That has been the heart and soul of this Rams defense for so long. This goes back to the era before Kyle Shanahan. So Aaron Donald got ejected out of that game and slammed his helmet. So this is a rivalry with some real history. Then you have the linebackers for the Rams. With the linebacker unit, you've got Ernest Jones has been there before. Then you have Christian Roseboom. That's a new piece for the Rams in the middle. They've always struggled to cover the 49ers and the Shanahan concepts, and that's not anything really against the Rams. Every team's linebacker unit struggles against the 49ers and Shanahan offenses because that's the mismatch that you're trying to create. That's what you're trying to capitalize on. I'm curious to see if the 49ers will continue capitalizing on it, even with this new look Rams defense. But no Jalen Ramsey on the back end. It is possible the Rams, with a nice collection of talent in the secondary, young talent, Kobe Durant at one of the cornerback positions, Darian Kendrick, who 49ers fans probably already familiar with. He's been with the team for a while. Jordan Fuller, one of the safeties, and Russ Yeast being another one of the safeties. A lot of young players. It's possible that as a collective, these guys can bring a little bit more spark than the veteran group that was there before, that was starting to maybe run out of steam. I mean, 2020, 2021, the Rams had an epic defense. In 2021, they won the Super Bowl. 2019, they were good as well on the defensive side of the ball. But that defense, I think, was past its prime. after the 2022 season. I think it was clear that they were on the downslide. So between cap hell for the Rams and the fact that, they needed to jettison some players, and they also needed to get younger and get better. It is possible that this secondary unit, develops into something that surprises people, that might be a little bit more effective even than the stretch run of 2022 for the Rams defensively, when they were anchored by the veteran Jalen Ramsey. It's totally possible. We don't know. But all we do know is they have big number 99, Aaron Donald, in the middle. I think ultimately it's more about the 49ers and their offense than it is about who they're playing defensively, because the 49ers have 5 eligibles who will beat any coverage. If somebody is dedicating too much attention to Brandon Ayuk, the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, well, they're not going to be dedicating as much attention to Deebo Samuel. If they're dedicating too much attention to both receivers, they're not going to be dedicating enough to Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey often makes teams pick between himself and George Kittle. Then there's the wild card in Kyle Juszczyk. I mean, the options are limitless. And if Brock Purdy plays a good point guard, then the 49ers will move the ball down your throat. And of course, one of the prerequisites is decent offensive line play. But I will say, Purdy, number 1 QBR last week. The 49ers offensive line ranked number 24. Look at this. These are offensive line metrics. 24 for the 49ers. This is Ben Baldwin's offensive line aggregate. So Purdy, Purdy's able to generate number 1 quarterback efficiency, despite the fact that his offensive line in an aggregate setting right here ranked number 24. PFF score ranked number 21. SIS graded them at 78 out of 100, and ESPN's pass block win rate only 46% for the 49ers. Now, the ESPN pass block win rate for the Bengals, that was brutal. It's going to be an interesting matchup for the 49ers against the Browns. It was the Browns who roughed up the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Myles Garrett was going Iverson, pretending to dribble through his legs before some of those snaps. I mean, they had their swag on in Cleveland. 49ers have to play them, I think, week 6. So the challenges are on the schedule for the 49ers this year, and the pass protection is going to have to be better than it was week 1, 24th best in the league. So we go to this article right here. This is what you have to read. It's up on The Athletic. I think this was the most important thing to write about this week. Colton McKivitz and Spencer Burford, right side of the offensive line. That right now is the fracture point, the weakness in the Death Star, the thermal exhaust port that the 49ers have to fix. Any questions? Let's go. Questions about 49ers Rams. 49ers offense against the Rams defense. Dave says, hopefully the right side learns quick and figures out how to stop Donald and the rest of the rush. Purdy's even more impressive based on the O-line issue. Yes. So that was something that Jimmy Garoppolo had to deal with too. I mean, the 49ers in 2019, 2017, 2019, 2020, below average offensive line. They got it figured out in 2021 to where it was on the upswing. It was above average, I think, last year too, for the most part. But they lost Mike McGlinchey. Denver paid him a whole lot of money. They have a second-year starter at right guard, somebody who didn't get all the snaps last year at Spencer Burford, right? He was platooning with Daniel Brunskill. He's got the full load now. A lot of pressure on new faces on the right side between Spencer Burford and on the very right side, Colton McKivitz. Ayuk, another 100-yard game. I can't tell you who's going to have a 100-yard game or not, because sometimes the game plan is not going to revolve around Brandon Ayuk. It's going to depend on how the Rams defend this. They put a lot of resources on Ayuk. It's Purdy's job not to force the ball to Ayuk. Turns into more of a Deebo Samuel game, maybe a George Kittle game, maybe a McCaffrey game. And I don't care about your fantasy team. I care about real football. So I care about how the 49ers distribute the football most efficiently in an actual game setting. When did Aaron Donald say this? I think he said that last year, right? He really dislikes the 49ers. I think Deebo Samuel said that he really dislikes the Rams. Rams and the 49ers don't like each other. This is a rivalry, the way it should be. At this point of the year, they're not going like full speed training camp anymore. So I don't think it helps that much. I think the camp reps are in the one-on-ones and just the team drill stuff in camp when it's Bosa working against the first team offense is when you benefit. And the 49ers did not get that because of the holdout. So I think Purdy's quick release is key to this matchup. Well, getting rid of the ball on time is always key. Purdy's release not as quick as Jimmy Garoppolo's. We saw Garoppolo beat the Rams behind a beleaguered front with a really quick release when they had a good pass rush, right? 2.3 seconds was the release time on average in week 4 last year. That was after Trent Williams got hurt and McKivitz was at left tackle. So short pass, quick release is key. Getting the ball out on time is always key when you're playing Aaron Donald in that unit, trying to rush. I don't care if it's Miller. I don't care if it's Leonard Floyd. Get rid of the ball quickly because the Rams will pressure you. I mean, they pressured Geno Smith last week. So, yes, getting rid of the ball quickly will be important. That's going to be a big test. There's a reason that Jimmy Garoppolo had ownership over the Rams, and it was because he was able to get the ball out quickly. What linebacker is going to contend with McCaffrey? Well, I know that Ernest Jones has struggled to contend with George Kittle in the past. There is no linebacker in the league that can cover Christian McCaffrey. If that is the matchup, the 49ers are going to go to it. If it's a safety, he's got a little bit more of a chance, but it's still Christian McCaffrey, and that is the glory of Christian McCaffrey. You have to double team him. And if you shade that safety toward Christian, George Kittle is going to open up. So that's why the names don't matter all that much. It's more about numbers. It's about how much they dedicate to McCaffrey, how much they dedicate to Kittle. Okay, Purdy play point guard. Go to the guy who's getting less defensive dedication. It's as simple as that. That's why having all these eligibles that are capable, that are stars, is such a big thing for the 49ers. I don't know how you manage your writing, teaching, and this channel. Thanks, man. I appreciate the shout out for the hard work. I try to grind because I'm covering a team that can win a Super Bowl. So I want to bring you all the content in as many different forms as possible. One of the forms is the writing job right here. So make sure you check this out. Mike was nice enough to put the link into the description. Subscribe for $1 a month to The Athletic. I was in the locker room today talking to both Colton McKivitz and Spencer Burford. And on the note of exhaustion, how I manage all this, I haven't had dinner yet. So dinner is coming up right after this. Then maybe I sleep a little bit more tomorrow. And then we got to get going, right? Friday's the final practice. And then the 49ers are off to L.A. Wilkes' defense at Carolina got roughed up pretty good last season against the Rams. Well, yeah, that was different personnel, though. Very different personnel for Carolina. They had Brian Burns, right? But it's not the same. Wilkes is working with a different unit of players this year with the 49ers, and that's going to make this very different, I think. They were dominant last week. 5 drives, 5 3-and-outs to open the game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that's the thing. The Rams looked really good against the Seattle Seahawks, right? The Rams looked great against the Seattle Seahawks. Facing the 49ers is going to be different than facing the Seahawks. The Seahawks did not have a pass rush. Kind of like the Steelers looked really good in the preseason. 5 drives, 5 touchdowns for Kenny Pickett. Then they faced the 49ers. 5 drives, 5 3-and-outs. One is worse than the other, right? I think one is more important than the other, too. How you do against the 49ers in the regular season is very different than either your preseason play or facing a Seahawks team that has a trash pass rush. So the 49ers with Wilkes, now he's got pass rushers. It's not just what he was working with in Carolina. What should be for dinner? Somebody asked me what's for dinner. I'm going to toss the question right back to you. Here it is. What should be for dinner? I got to decide. It's getting late. 8:40. I mean, Kyle Shanahan said it best about the lateral. It was a good idea if it wasn't a forward pitch. It wasn't a lateral. A lateral means it's going sideways or backwards. It was a forward pass. So it was interesting because maybe there's good camaraderie there between teammates. Maybe they had tried that before at some point in practice. You could say it's unselfish, but they took it a little bit too far. You can't pitch the ball forward. So Somebody says burritos. Maybe I go get a burrito then. Second night in a row. Or I go get a lobster roll. Lobster roll, probably a little bit pricey. Unless somebody gives me a $50 tip, then I'll go get a lobster roll. We'll be fine. I'm not expecting that, by the way. That was a joke. Kind of. Michael Otis wants me to go get steak. Thai food. Not bad. You got somebody that ate dinner at 4:30. I mean, even if you write your food off, somebody's like, food write-off. Even if you write your food off, you're still spending the money to buy the food. It's not like it's free. You know what I mean? It's like going, oh, this this article of clothing's on sale. I'm gonna buy it. And it's like, great. So it's $100 instead of $120. But if you wouldn't have spent the money in the first place, then you're still spending more money than you would have otherwise spent. That's how sales get people. Want me to go up to Sam's and get a burger? That'd be nice, except I'm kind of by Dolores Park right now. It's up in the Mission. That's in the Mission or close to the Mission. And Sam's is not. Sam's is in North Beach. I go there after my swims at Aquatic Park. Well, if the 49ers are lucky, then the Drew Brees comparisons for Brock Purdy will be very real. Maybe Drew Brees with more mobility. I think that's the target. I think the sample size is too small to be able to draw a definite link at this point to any one quarterback. But Purdy's got a high ceiling because of his athleticism. He's got really good athleticism. He's got a nice arm, and he's smart. And for Kyle Shanahan's purposes, he's robotic enough. Not in a bad way. He's robotic enough to remind Kyle Shanahan enough of Kirk Cousins to be like, okay, I like this guy. Could program him into the system. But then again, Shanahan's also the person that drafted Trey Lance and spent a ton of capital to trade up for him. So Shanahan obviously wanted some kind of physical upside that, he could roll the dice on. And Lance didn't work out. That failed. But I think Purdy brings a little bit of that physical upside too. So a hybrid of the things that Kyle Shanahan is looking for. I eat Asian food. You want me to show you? Give me the spots that you want me to go to. I mean, San Francisco's got a lot of good Asian food. So if you want me to go check that out, I am happy to. I just love burritos. So I love burritos. I love Sam's Burgers. I love sandwiches. So I go to all those spots. Let's get some good Asian food on the books. I'm absolutely 100% into that idea. Yeah, we might see more screens in this game. Quick game. Whether it's a screen, whether it's a quick release, slant concepts, get rid of the ball quickly and on time. If you're Brock Purdy, that's always been the key against the Rams. Matt Keller sees the 49ers D-line destroying the Rams O-line. I do too, but the other way is more important in this preview. We're talking about 49ers offense against the Rams defense. All right, probably time for me to go grab some dinner. Answer this one. Will Donald line up against McKivitz? And will Purdy's game be clean? Well, the 49ers hope it will be clean. And yeah, I opened the show saying that Donald lines up anywhere. He'll find a weakness and he'll prey on it. He preyed on Justin School in 2019 when School was playing out at tackle. So you got to be ready for it. But then, you have to be ready for everything if you're the 49ers. And that's not just Aaron Donald. That's Byron Young, the new rookie edge rusher too. He'll definitely work against the tackles. So the 49ers will have their hands full. Again, this is a Rams defense that only allowed 12 yards of total offense against the Seattle Seahawks after halftime in week 1. And the Seahawks were down 2 tackles eventually in that game due to injuries. Just shows you that if there's a weakness, the Rams are going to try to capitalize on it. Raheem Morris is a good coordinator. They've got personnel that's experienced enough to work with its group of youngsters to deliver a good product, as you saw in week 1. But I also think the 49ers are much better equipped than Seattle. So I do think that they could perpetuate their success against the Rams. Oh, yeah, I'm getting fed. Imitation crab roll. Love it. Thank you. Mission Chinese, 2234 Mission Street. What a great address. 2234. Easy to remember. Yeah, and I agree. Good spot. So you guys have given me great ideas. I really appreciate it. It's time for me to go eat, though. So everybody take care. Thank you for joining. It's been a fun little show. We did 2 big lives tonight. Those are always fun. So hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let's get that count up. I think we're at 45K almost. So 45K by tomorrow would be great. If not by tomorrow, let's do it by the game this weekend, by the end of week 2. All right, everybody take care. More good stuff is coming soon. So we will see you on the flip side. Bye now.